Sunday Surefire Podcast. I'm your host, the commish. Joining me today is the co-host, Aaron Downtown Brown,
Hey, hey.
and the other co-host, Ethan Weaver.
Kamish, how we doing?
As we're talking some Thursday night football, our Under the Lights show, where we talk about the teams that are playing on Thursday night. We give you a quick recap of the game, how we think it's going to go, or preview of the game, I should say, how that's going to go. Then we talk about, spend the bulk of the show talking about DraftKings captains lineups, which are six-player lineups that feature a salary cap, and you can pick one player that you can nominate as your captain for the game. He costs 1.5 times his normal salary to get him into your captain slot, but he just does score 1.5 times the points for having him in there. And then we also like to talk about one bargain player, someone that you can really cheap out on that can make a difference in your lineup and be the difference between winning no money in a tournament, maybe taking down the whole thing. You never know. But this week's matchup for week 6 features the San Francisco 49ers taking their show on the road to Seattle, a divisional matchup here against the Seahawks. San Fran is currently a 3.5 point favorite. The over-under is 49 points. These are two teams with a lot of very fantasy relevant pieces. Seattle comes in at 3-2, leading the division, and San Fran comes in at 2-3. Little bit of a slow start coming off that Super Bowl loss. Little unexpected on that front, but it's still early in the year. However, this is definitely a big one out in the NFC West. I like the Seahawks here getting 3.5 at home. I don't know if they win outright, but I think they're going to cover the spread. So I'll take the points in this game, and the over under here 49 feels about right to me. So I don't really love betting that one way or the other. So in case like that, I got to root for some type of over. So I'll probably just do a conservative over of some kind as part of a parlay. So those are my quick thoughts on the game here. Aaron, we'll go to you first, brother. What do you think about this one? How's it going to pan out on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's always an interesting as far as like betting is concerned when the away team is favored by 3.5 points. I mean, usually they gave the whole team home team a 3 point, I guess starting block. So I think they're still kind of favoring this game to be pretty close. Maybe even a 1 point game is kind of what that alludes to. But I'm kind of more on the 49ers side. I really think they may even roll, but like I said, playing in Seattle may change things here and there. But yeah, as far as the point spread goes, 48 points, I'm kind of with you. It's a little bit on the higher side, but I do, just to make it fun. Hey, it's Thursday, it's the only game on. I would love to still bet the over just for fun. But yeah, maybe drop it to like 46, a little bit on the conservative side, but I still like betting overs. So I would say take the over 46, and I like Niners this game.
Who wants to bet on an under anyway? That's no fun. But
Exactly.
Ethan, what do you think about that, and where do you see this game going?
I was gonna say the same thing. Nobody likes to bet the under, but no, I agree with Aaron. I think the 49ers take this one. They're 2-3. They're reeling a little bit. They need a win. And I think I'd actually take San Francisco minus 3.5. I think they take care of business. Seattle just lost to the New York Giants, who are actually playing pretty decent. I always said I don't think Danny Dimes is as bad as people think he is, but and he's playing pretty good football right now. But I do think the Niners. I mean, they have so much talent. They're I think going to figure it out, and they're going to beat Seattle in Seattle. So I would take Niners minus 3.5, and I'll take the over.
Something's got to give there. I mean, the hook's on there, so someone's going to be right, someone's going to be wrong. Vegas is going to make money either way, regardless. So these division games are close, so we'll see how that pans out. But let's get into the captains lineups here. Who you sitting as your captain in these the DFS contest, Aaron?
Yeah, I'll definitely kick it off here. And for my captain, I'll pay up a little bit. I'm going 14,000. And I'm actually going Brock Purdy in this game. Yeah, I'm actually going Purdy as my captain. And, for a couple reasons, I guess for one is I don't really want to play the guessing game of who's going to blow up with the 49ers. So if I get a piece of Brock Purdy kind of throwing it over the yard, if it's Jawan Jennings, if it's Debo, if it's Ayuk, whoever it is, at least I get the 1.5 points from Purdy there. And I guess along those same terms, we know the Niners have many weapons, so I like that. But in this particular matchup, Seattle's just really like a middle of the road pass rush. So I kind of on this game I kind of decided kind of looking that a little bit deeper. And Purdy happens to have the longest time to throw in the pocket in the entire league. So he's got time to throw. That means he can find his weapons. He actually has 9 big time throws when he's at his average or more, which actually leads the league as well. So I think he's going to have some big plays. The other cool thing about Purdy this year is, yes, he's got the time to throw, but when nobody's open, he takes off and scrambles as well. We're seeing that this year too. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware. You may be if you have Purdy in your leagues, but he only has 52 yards less rushing than Josh Allen this year. So I kind of like I said, I kind of like. I think when I'm watching the game, I'm gonna like that. Hey, Purdy's gonna sit back and either throw a bomb or take off and give me some rushing points. So Purdy's my captain this week.
Purdy's playing well this year. I know the record's not good, but he's like doing what he can to keep that team afloat. And I know he gets a rap for being a game manager because he was drafted on a good team, and people just expect him to apologize for that. But if you actually watch the kid play, like he's actually doing what he can to keep his team in most of these games. I know he was inefficient passing last week, but I think he's a good player and doesn't get enough recognition for what he does out there. Ethan, what do you think about him and the captain slot this week?
No, 100%. I think Purdy makes so many plays with his feet without actually running, just kind of scrambling, getting outside the pocket, making plays with his legs. Look, always keeping his eyes downfield. I think Purdy's a great player, and I think he's due for kind of a blow up spot in fantasy. I love the thought process in which, hey, there's so many fantasy relevant players in this game on both sides. So why not take one of the guys distributing the ball to everybody, right? Brock Purdy. I do think the Niners are going to win this game. I think the Niners are going to do well offensively. So I would lean to take Brock Purdy over Geno Smith. So I definitely like the Brock Purdy call as the captain in that regard. I was close to picking Brock Purdy because I kind of had the same issue. It's like, hey, there's so many guys to choose from. I mean, hey, what matchups are the best? Sometimes it's easiest just to take the quarterback.
Yep, 100% follow the logic on that. Uh, don't hate that at all as a call out. But Ethan, did you go with Purdy as your captain too, or did you pivot elsewhere?
I pivoted elsewhere to save a little bit of money. Purdy is in my lineup, but I went with one of his pass catchers. I went with George Kittle at 11,100. The Seattle Seahawks aren't great against the tight end position, 21st. And Theo Johnson of the Giants just had a decent day, 5 for 48. Hunter Henry of the Patriots went 8 for 109 against these guys. I do think there's opportunity in the middle of the field with Debo and Kittle. Ayuk is going to have a little bit of I think of trouble with Devon Witherspoon out there, cornerback from Seattle. So I think it's going to be more of a Debo kind of Kittle game, and I think Kittle can take advantage just like our Hunter Henry, our Patriots did. Obviously, the 49ers have a lot more weapons than the Patriots, and the Niners ended up taking Hunter Henry out in the second half out of that game. But you really can't do that with George Kittle because you have Ayuk, Debo Samuel, Jordan Mason running the rock. So I went with what I thought was the best matchup on the field for Brock Purdy, and which is why I went with George Kittle.
I like it, especially if you're playing in a tournament where you kind of have to pick the guy who's going to go off. I think Purdy almost might be too safe if you're in a tournament because a lot of people are going to have kind of have the same thought process. So if you're taking a shot on somebody, it's probably going to be George Kittle because he is coming out. He's been banged up. He's always banged up. Seems like every year, but he's banged up this year. He's probably not quite on as many people's radar as he normally would be. So I like that call, fitting Kittle into your lineup this week.
Yeah, I like Kittle. I like Kittle as well. I mean, obviously, if I have Purdy, I'm gonna like Kittle too. And I think, yeah, I think it kind of goes back to Seattle's rush. Like, they're not gonna really pressure Purdy, or at least statistically, it doesn't show they are. So I think Kittle has a way to kind of get behind the defense at times and get some of those huge plays that can be 30, 40 yard bombs as well. So I definitely don't hate that.
I'm going a little bit different direction on my captain here. You guys both with the 49ers. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going Kenneth Walker, expensive, $14,700 to put him in that spot. And then sometimes I think the NFL water kind of just finds its level and things even out to where they're supposed to be from week to week. Last week, Seattle, for whatever reason, got away from the running game and it really cost them. Walker and Charbonnet last week, guys, combined for just 7 carries on the day total. And it's not like this game was out of hand for the entirety of it. They were down some point 10 points in the fourth quarter, but this was a one-score game for a while, and then the Giants put it away at the very end with a blocked field goal that would have sent it to overtime to make it a 9-point win last week. So I think they kind of just get together here on a short week. They simplify the game plan. The ball goes through Kenneth Walker, and who we know is a home run threat every time he touches the ball. And I think he hits at least one big play in this game. And if he does that, he's gonna pay off for you. And I think DraftKings kind of agrees with me here. If you look at his touchdown prop, he's minus 125 to score a touchdown. The second, I guess, safest odds of anyone on this slate to find pay dirt in this matchup here. So I went with Ken Walker again, 14,700.
I like the Walker call. I don't understand why you wouldn't give him or Charbonnet the rock last week. I mean, just watching Kenneth Walker this season, he's just so explosive. He can get you those chunk plays by himself. So it's not like you have to go away from him. They weren't. It's not like they were trailing by multiple scores the entire game. So it makes no sense. I mean, Kenneth Walker is an animal, and he can score from any point in the field. So I like that call. I think Kenneth Walker is going to do well against the Niners, and I think Charbonnet could be a sneaky cheap play as well. So I think attacking the Seattle running game is going to pay off for you.
I hope so. Let's get my captain slot here, but we all went at least relatively expensive captain. So we got to save some money somewhere, boys. Just a nature of these daily contests for Thursday Night Football that we like to put out there. So, Aaron, who are you cheaping out on here in this bargain section?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with, I mean, I kind of had to go at least get one cheap guy in my lineup. Going Brock Purdy as my captain, and going with one of my boys. I think Oliver boy, but he's not really having the season we're totally hoping for. But he was my sleeper candidate this year. It's Noah Fant, 3,000. And I'm kind of just gravitating towards this game flow of this game. Like I said, I think 49ers can put up a lot of points. So however, I do agree that I think they need to give Walker the ball. I think if they go back to, using that against Detroit, like you saw in that Detroit game, that definitely works for him. But I think if the game does get out of hand, or they got to keep going back and forth, Fan can get his looks. San Francisco is very injured right now on defense as well. I mean, they still have Greenlaw out, Hargrave, but I think most importantly, Hufanga, their Pro Bowl safety, is out as well. Which, as we know, safeties definitely keep an eye on that tight end position. So, I mean, I think having their Pro Bowl safety out this week may give Fan a few more catches. So he's my cheapest play of the week.
Ethan, what do you think about all that, man?
I mean, it's tough with Noah Fant just because he gets so little targets. I mean, last 2 weeks, 2 and 3 targets. When you have JSN, you have Lockett, you have DK Metcalf, you have the run game. Noah Fant is a distant piece in this offense. So I think unless he scores a touchdown, he's probably not going to score you over 5 or 6 points. So that's why I don't love the call, because I think you're hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah, you really do kind of need him to fall in the end zone with the lack of looks there. So I don't love the call either, but it's cheap and you gotta cut corners somewhere. So I didn't really. I'll just go on to mine next year, guys. I didn't really love a lot of the guys kind of in that mold. So rather than take a stab at a guy like a Noah Fant or a few other guys on that list I was looking at, I just went with the Seattle defense here for $3,800, and really because that's the one I could afford. But so I went with them. The defense will give up points, but they also get after the quarterback. They're averaging 3.4 sacks per game on the year, which is good for fifth in the NFL. That checks out. I mean, this offseason, they went out and decided to go with the defensive minded head coach of Mike McDonald. So, he's kind of bringing that Baltimore hard nosed defensive, physical defense over to Seattle with them. And, San Francisco's offensive line, I think we kind of just have that knee-jerk reaction to think that it's really good, but they're actually ranked 13th, which is okay. It's not bad, middle of the pack, but this is not a top-tier unit that they've been in previous years. So I was okay with kind of cheaping out somewhere, going with the Seattle defense, and maybe if they hit a big play, they got a pick six or something, fumble recovery, maybe a special teams play that puts points on the board, then you're gonna like it, especially where it's only $3,800 out of your lineup.
Yeah, I think I mean, similar to your, I guess your contradiction of Fant like falling in the end zone. I think with Seattle, it is going to have to take like a special teams touchdown or some sort of a goofy maybe sack, fumble, recovery or something to kind of really get you some good points or at least decent points. Because yeah, I mean, even if they get a few sacks, if Niners put up 30 of them, it's only like 3 or 4 points. So I do think you might need a big play on defense, which obviously with these Thursday night games can definitely happen too.
Purdy's pretty smart with the football, so I don't think you're getting a pick six from him. So I do think it's going to have to come on special teams or a fumble return. I don't like the call just because I think the Niners are going to roll offensively in this game. But I get it when you pay up for your captain, you got to kind of thread the needle on some of these players. So completely understandable. I think the Niners, like I said, are going to cover that -3.5 and are going to play well offensively. So that's the reason why I'm kind of off the boat when it comes to the Seattle defense.
Well, what boat are you getting on then this week?
So I am going with a price point of $5,400, which isn't as cheap as you guys, but I wanted a piece of the Seattle Seahawks receiving core. So at $5,400, I went with Tyler Lockett, and I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be trailing the majority of this game, and I do think they're going to have to resort to throwing the ball maybe a little more than they would like to, and I think Tyler Lockett has been pretty solid the last couple of weeks. In the last 3 weeks, he went 5 for 61 on 9 targets, 4 for 75 on 6 targets, and 5 for 46 on 8 targets. So he's getting the targets. All it takes is for him is to break one long one for a touchdown, and it's massive towards your lineup. Like I said, I did want to get a piece of the Seattle Seahawks pass catchers because I do think Geno Smith and that Seattle offense has been very good this year. And I do think they have an opportunity to play well against the Niners because the Niners defense isn't blowing doors away by any means. So I thought for a price point of $5,400, he was the cheapest of all three of the Seattle receivers. So I thought I was happy to get him in my lineup.
Aaron, you on board?
Actually, I love that call, Ethan. I mean, if it was part of my logic with Fan, I didn't have enough budget to get Lockett, but yeah, I mean, San Francisco is in the bottom half of the league, covering the middle of the field. So, I mean, honestly, it's either you or me hitting, or I
Yeah.
mean, that's either tight end or slot position or something like that. So, I mean, Lockett, I think definitely has the advantage over Fant. Um, so yeah, I definitely really like the call if you have the budget there. I'm just hoping it's a fan week.
Well, we'll see if Old Man Lockett can squeeze out one more good week for Ethan here as we close out our Thursday night show
Gonna
here.
crush.
That's what we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. That's what we got here for you folks in our quick hitting Thursday night captains episode. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if you like what you hear.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
We have week 6 to talk about here. That means another fun week of DFS to go over. We are talking expensive players. We are talking cheaper guys that are a little bit lower cost to get in your lineups. We're talking defenses. We're talking hot takes, all of the above. Same format that we roll out there each and every week for you folks. If you like what you hear on the show, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, like it as well, share it with all your friends and family, all that good stuff. But we don't, as you know by now, if you listen in here, we don't waste a lot of time talking about our weekends or what's going on in the world. We cut all that BS right out so we can get you as much good fantasy content as we can. So let's do just that, guys. Before we get into all the good stuff for week 6, we quickly go back and talk about our Told You So segment, the stuff that we got right a week ago. I was not on the program last week, so I have nothing to add to this show. But Aaron, what did you get right quickly in week 6? And then Ethan, you can tell us what you got.
Miss, you sure you don't want to talk about the weekend or future your plans from last week? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. No, I'll jump right into it. Mine will be short and sweet.
That's not good, Aaron.
I know it's not good for this section. Was not looking for Josh Allen and Kincaid to put up so little points last week. So that did not help. But I did call out top DFS defense. I think Ethan did as well, though. But Denver defense, they were only 2,900. They made me a believer 2 weeks ago. and they scored you 16 points. So that was my told you so from last week was the Denver defense.
Yeah, Denver defense, I believe, was an easy call, and that smashed. I did very well last week, scoring a little over 150 points. So I think that was my highest score of the season thus far. So along with Denver, I also called out Geno Smith. He cost $5,900 and he scored 22.56 fantasy points. So there was a nice return on my investment for a quarterback under 6 grand. And then my big hit was Tucker Kraft, only cost me $3,500 and he scored 24.8 points. So that was a big reason why I scored so well. So Tucker Kraft's breakout helped me win our matchup in DFS last week.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft will do that, especially when you put him in your lineup last week. So that was a good call, Ethan. So we'll start with you then. Who are you paying up for this week in our bullish buy segment? What high profile player is going to go off in week 6?
When I looked at the main slate this week, I thought this was actually a pretty easy call for me anyways. My bullish buy is David Montgomery, a price of $6,500. It is tied for the highest total on the slate. They're going against the Dallas Cowboys, who cannot stop the run. David Montgomery is as safe as it comes. He's scored over 15 fantasy points in every single game, and I think he has immense upside this week. I do think Detroit can get on top of Dallas and just run the ball a million times. It's kind of what Detroit wants to do at times. So I think David Montgomery is in for a lot of opportunity, and I think he can take advantage against a porous Dallas run defense. They rank 27th against running backs, allowing 135 rushing yards a game, which ranks 24th. Kamara went completely off against this team, 20 for 115 and 3 touchdowns. And then Derrick Henry had 25 for 151 and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, it would be great if David Montgomery gave us that kind of production, but I do think he has immense upside. So David Montgomery, $6,500, I thought was a pretty easy call for me for my bullish buy.
Aaron, talk to me about Montgomery, and then give me who you got for your bullish buy this week.
Yeah, I think that's a solid call. I mean, it's still a little bit of a cheaper play, so I definitely like that in this category. And I think we all are gravitating towards this game. Definitely want to get pieces of that game. So like it there, and like you said, Dallas's run defense has been pretty bad this year to say the least. I think over 25 missed tackles. So you got to tackle the running back. So yeah, I guess on the spirit of running backs, I'm a little paying up a little bit more. A guy that's has been doing very well in fantasy. I'm going Saquon Barkley, um, playing against Cleveland this week, and just for I don't even want to think about it that much. I think Saquon's just having a great year. They're also they're the highest favored team of week 6 at a minus 440, also the largest spread of -9 points as well. So it should be a very favorable game script for Saquon, which I like for running backs. So especially with AJ Brown and Smith back in the lineup, I actually think that really helps the game script even more. Just get up and they'll run the ball and kind of watch Barkley do even more. So he's my bullish buy this week.
Love that call. I like it so much that I have Saquon as my bullish buy this week for a lot of the same reasons. From a fantasy standpoint, on paper, it's kind of a neutral matchup against the Browns defense, who was allowed the 14th most points to opposing running backs. But I just think for the reasons Aaron laid out, it's a smash spot for the Eagles. They're coming off a bye, playing a home game against a reeling Browns team. They're going to head to the link down to the dumps at 1-4. And yeah, I think the news this week has been around the Eagles getting guys like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith back in the fold, which is likely going to happen. But I think it's a spot where they're going to be ahead in this game and just kind of grinding the clock out late. And even if this is a neutral game, Barkley's that good where he's game script proofed and he's going to be on the field a ton. And behind this offensive line, I think he's in for an RB1 overall finish this year. And I think he's going to keep rolling in week 6.
You can't go wrong with Saquon Barkley. He's been an animal this year and fresh legs coming off a bye, playing an awful Cleveland Browns team. Deshaun Watson can't put up any points because he's just absolutely terrible. He might be one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league right now. And Saquon Barkley is going to have all the opportunity in that backfield. I would rather save some money and play David Montgomery. I mean, maybe you can play them both depending on how your lineup shakes out, but you can never go wrong putting Saquon Barkley in your lineup.
Let's stick with this game here as we transition now to our two deep segment where we talk about defensive matchups. And I'll hit lead off here. Usually I cheap out on defense or at least go with the middle of the pack unit, but I'm not doing that this week. I'm going with the fourth most expensive unit on the slate. And when you might be able to guess, it's the Philadelphia Eagles that I'm rolling with here. As I mentioned, Saquon, Eagles coming off a bye and all that, they're going to roll and all this, but I think that there's room for the Eagles defense to feast as well. I mean, they get this Cleveland offense that's been an absolute mess, as Ethan alluded to. PFF has the Browns offensive line ranked 29th in the league, so it's no surprise that the Browns have given up a league-leading 5.2 sacks per game. Cleveland also leads the league in drop passes with 17, so absolutely nothing is going right for this Cleveland Browns offense, and Philly well rested. The matchup's just too juicy for me to pass up here, so I'm laying the money out there on the Eagles defense this week.
Yeah, I don't mind the call just because, like I said, Deshaun Watson is playing bottom 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. He just can't seem to get anything going. The Cleveland Browns offense just been anemic all year. The Eagles defense in general isn't very good. They allow the 27th most yards per game. They rank 23rd against quarterbacks. So they do allow points, but I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to take advantage of that just because he's been that bad this year. So what do we like to attack in DFS? We like to attack bad quarterback play, and that's what you have in Cleveland.
Yeah, I like that call. Yeah, I think Philly's definitely they're definitely a streaming option in just regular redraft leagues as well. So I think if you're on the redraft front, maybe pick up Philly, and they're probably on the waiver. As to your point, they're not the dominant defense, but I think I like this matchup this week at the link. So that's not who I went though. So I did have to save a little bit more money. So I'm only paying 3,000 this week, and I'm actually going with the Baltimore Ravens. So they are a lower price point this week because they are playing the red hot Commanders. So I do understand that. A couple things with that. And let me preface with I'm like a huge Daniels fan this year. I'm really rooting for him. But I think, honestly, this is probably his first time seeing a pretty solid defense on the year. He's played Tampa Bay, played the Giants. He's been played Cincy. And then Cleveland, as we said, is not the defense they have been in recent years too. So Baltimore has a lot of speedy linebackers as well. They make a lot of plays happen on defense, and it's in Baltimore as well. So yeah, I just want to go with the fact that they're a solid defense. They are playing a rookie quarterback. I know Jaden's hot, but I'm gonna roll the dice a little bit in that respect. So I'm going Baltimore this week.
It's definitely roll the dice.
I was going to say,
what do you think about it, Aaron, going with the Ravens against the buzzsaw that is Jaden Daniels and the Washington offense?
you took the words out of my mouth. Roll the dice, definitely. I want to go that direction. I just don't really see the point in taking that risk. It's not like the Ravens defense is this absolute dominant Ray Lewis led Baltimore Ravens defense. And Jaden Daniels right now is just playing insane football. He's completing, I think, over 80% of his passes. Brian Robinson Jr. is running the ball like crazy. Jaden Daniels isn't making mistakes. And when it comes to DFS, I'd rather go in a direction where we're going to be playing these defenses against quarterbacks that we think are going to make those mistakes, like a Deshaun Watson. And like a defense, I'm going to say right now in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are actually cheaper than the Baltimore Ravens. The Buccaneers are only $2,600, and they're going to be playing the likes of Spencer Rattler and the New Orleans Saints. So to me, I wouldn't pay up more for Baltimore when you can just pay under $3,000 for Tampa Bay, who is definitely going to cause some turnovers with Spencer Rattler playing. I mean, rookie quarterback, lower draft pick. I think he's going to be in for a long day. The New Orleans Saints under Derek Carr have been struggling as of late. I mean, they started off weeks 1 and 2 scoring 47, 44 points. Since then, week 3, 12 points, week 4, 24 points. And then Kansas City, they only scored 13 points with Derek Carr at the helm. I can only imagine how this offense is going to look with Spencer Rattler with 0 NFL experience. So I'm expecting multiple turnovers, and for the price point of $2,600, I mean, it's hard to go wrong there. So I thought Tampa Bay with their price point against a rookie quarterback to me was the call here, and definitely a bet I would rather make than betting on Jane Daniels to kind of fall on his face.
I'd probably lean that way too, attacking a rookie quarterback, making his first career start. Not like up here in New England where that's the case. We're talking about Rattler, who's I believe was a fifth round pick, something like that,
Yep.
down the board. But for Ethan's sake, you better hope that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers figured something out from last week, where they let Kirk Cousins carve him up for over 500 yards, and so hopefully they get that
Oh,
corrected.
that's
The only
Captain
risk
Kirk
here,
though.
the only nothing wrong with the logic, but the only risk in that is that maybe the game plan is just so ultra conservative, where they're just handing the ball to Kamara, keeping the ball in the short area of the field, and then also maybe getting a little more creative down the line too. But potentially more on that later in the episode. But so let's keep this moving here. We're gonna go to our pick six category, where we discuss players that are a little bit cheaper, guys that you have to maybe cut some corners on somewhere in your lineup to fit the higher price guys in there, like Saquon Barkley, who's going to go off this week. But Aaron, who you got? Who you cheaping out on here in week 6?
All right. So it's funny. I usually save the lowest for the lowest price point for last, but I think this is perfect timing to bring him up right now. You may be able to guess it, but I know this is gross. So I like Ethan's
Oh,
logic there. I definitely hear it, but I am going down dirty to the bottom of the barrel.
oh,
I'm
don't
spending
say it. Don't say it.
$4,000 on
Oh,
Spencer Rattler this
oh
week.
God.
So yes,
No.
Spencer Rattler making his first NFL start, as you said. Um, hey, but there's a couple things you can look on the bright side with it. I mean, his first NFL start, he does get to play at home in New Orleans. Um, that's for one, just a nice starter there. I mean, if it's on the road as a rookie QB, it's never nice there. But I think Kamish alluded to it. Tampa Bay's secondary, ranked 31st against DFS quarterbacks. They give up a lot of yards, and it's really not just this year. It's really been a trend of the last 3 or 4 years that Tampa Bay just gives up a lot of yards through the air. So even if Rattler's not throwing it around the yard, he gets to make his first NFL start, not against a dominating secondary. And he does have weapons, as Kamish said, as well. So he can dump off to Kamara. He's got my boy Shahid. He's got Olave. He's got people that he can make things happen with. Not saying, like I said, he's going to put up 40 points against Tampa Bay, but I think my last point is he can run the ball. So I mean, at least his floor is I'm hoping he can at least get 30 or 40 yards rushing. If he runs one in, that's really what I'm trying to bank on. But really, honestly, you don't really see $4,000 quarterbacks in your DraftKings lineup, and it's just for the fact where they had to kind of bill out the prices Monday night before they knew that Derek Carr was even hurt, right? So that price point isn't going to change now that he's named the starter. So um, I'm gonna take a shot with Rattler this week. I know it is definitely risky with this first start, but $4,000 it will definitely not get any better than that all season.
I mean, Ethan's got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, so we know what he's going to think about Aaron having Spencer Rattler as a starting quarterback. So I don't think we need to go too far into that
No.
back and forth. But I could see this play more if you're playing a single game, like Buccaneers Saints game, like sort of like we do on our Thursday night matchups. If you were playing an individual game, given the price point, a lot of people are going to have Rattler as their captain because he's so cheap and he's a starting quarterback. I could see it there to get more pieces of the game in your lineup. This is obviously an incredibly big risk in a main slate where you have so many other options, literally every other option available to you, and that's the one that you chose to go with. But Aaron, the one thing I'm really taking a pause here on this is you say maybe he runs one in and that helps you, but you better hope that Taysom Hill does not play in this game because he didn't practice today. We're recording this on Wednesday. But if he does play in this game, you know that in every red zone package they're going to have is going to involve Taysom Hill on the field here. And he's not one of our, I guess you can call him a bonus pick six player here. He's not one of the guys I was going to talk about at least. But if he is active, he is a guy that I want to play in my tight end lineups because he's going to be more involved in every aspect of this game with Rattler being in his first start. And they have to give the Tampa Bay defense something a little bit different to look at. So I would be worried about that as well. So are you surprised at all that we're not necessarily on board with your Spencer Rattler for 45 cents in your lineup this
I'm
week?
not. I let off saying, "Hey, I know it's gross, but like I said, I cannot turn away from 4,000." So, I got more than one guy that's over 8,000 in my lineup. So, I mean, the biggest, I guess, the biggest contradiction is, yeah, like even good quarterback weeks can give you, 18, 20 points. Of course, they can score the 30s, and if you're Lamar Jackson, but if you get your stars like your Saquons, they're the ones that can really blow up and get your 30, 40 point games more often on a high, a big week.
All right. Well, Aaron's probably lighting $4,000 on fire in his DFS
Agree. I
budget
agree.
this week, but we'll keep it rolling here. Ethan, who do you got in your lineup on the cheap?
So I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney at $5,300. I'm going to ride the hot hand that is Darnell Mooney. He's just been one of the main target earners for the Atlanta Falcons. I think that offense is starting to fire on all cylinders. They obviously had a big week against the Buccaneers last week, and they have another really good matchup against the Carolina Panthers this week, who um, have a defense that allowed the most points so far this season, most points per game of 33. They also rank 23 against receivers. I think Mooney, I mean, right now he's almost been Kirk Cousins' number one option. He led the team in targets last week with 16, and he's been Kirk's kind of go-to guy so far this season. I know London had a massive week last week, but I mean, Darnell Mooney, he could have easily had another touchdown that he dropped last week. And I just think Kirk and him have a pretty good connection. And after what Darnell Mooney did last week, I'm surprised his price point is only 5,300 in a solid matchup against Carolina. I guess the one risk here is that they do get up on Carolina, and the game script kind of lends to more run with Bijan because the Carolina Panthers do not have a good run defense. So it could be a sneaky good play for Bijan Robinson as well, even though he's kind of having a lackluster year. But I'm willing to take the chance with Darnell Mooney, $5,300. He's been getting targeted like crazy, and I think he has a chance for a big day.
Yeah, I have Mooney in my lineup too. He was one of the my pick six players as well, so we're piggybacking on that one. The price point almost has me worried for some reason. Like why is it so
Yeah.
gee? Like what do they know that I don't? It's almost like when you see a line on a game you want to bet, and you're like that line smells. That I kind of almost got those vibes and almost didn't go this route, but I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. I mean, the Falcons defense gave up a ton of yardage and multiple touchdowns to Baker Mayfield last week. Andy Dalton is going to be up and down, but he has shown the ability to at least in spurts this year move the ball. So hopefully they can stay competitive and keep Atlanta throwing. And this one, it's at Carolina as well for whatever that's worth. So I have him in my lineup as well. Aaron, any thoughts on Mooney before we move on?
No, I mean, Ethan may laugh at this, but I've been a big Mooney fan all year, and he's on my Sunday Surefire Invitational best ball team. So he's
He's
definitely
crushing.
coming through. Yeah.
Yeah, next year, folks, if you want to get in on the Sunday Surefire Invitational Best Ball Draft, please do so. We got 3 leagues going on right now. Aaron, Ethan, and I are actually split up amongst those 3 leagues. I'm in the top 3 in my league. Currently sitting at 7-3. Aaron, where are you at?
I got a playoff spot. I think I'm six right now. I started off slow, but won the last four matchups.
Ethan, where are you at in best ball?
I decline to answer. No, I'm towards the bottom. The injuries have absolutely killed me this year. Last week, I think I had 9 players. Base 8 of them were injured. One was on bye. It's just been a rough year. Uh, Last year was a much better year for me, where I was basically first throughout the entire year. I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum this year, so hopefully things turn around. But yeah, it's not great so far.
Ethan is the Deshaun Watson of the Sunday Surefire Best Ball Invitational, where he used to be something and now he's terrible. So
Oh, get out of here.
we'll non-debatable fact, but we'll keep it rolling here. Ethan, we'll go back to you, Mr. Watson. Go ahead and tell me who your next pick six player is.
Yeah, I'm actually going to stay with Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Been a popular game, but I'm going to go Kate Otten at 3,500. The New Orleans Saints defense, they're top 10 against the run. They rank 26. They've allowed the 26th most pass yards a game, and they rank 31st against opposing tight ends. And Cade Otton plays pretty much almost 100% of the snaps. He's out there all the time. I think if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get up, it's going to be on the right arm of Baker Mayfield. And Cade Otton, in his last 3 weeks, he's had eight, 9, and 4 targets. He's been a pretty consistent staple of that offense. I know he has to compete with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, but he does have the best matchup on the field against the Saints. And I think Cade Otton can take advantage of that. I've been pretty high on Cade Otton this year. He's only a second year player, and I think he's starting to come into his own. But at a price point of 3,500, I'm willing to take the risk. I took the risk last week with Tucker Kraft, and that worked out fairly well for me. So I think Otton may be hopefully maybe one of Baker's favorite targets this Sunday.
Aaron, what do you think about Ethan cheaping out at tight end for a second consecutive week?
Hey, honestly, it's not a bad strategy. I mean, I think the tight ends are warming up still. I don't know if it's still like preseason thinking for most of them, but yeah, going cheap at tight end is probably going to be paying off for you just in general. Especially, if you paid up for a lot of tight ends just in general this year in fantasy. So I don't hate that call, and I think to Ethan's point, New Orleans can't really guard the tight end too well. So I think it's I think it's on. I think it's Godwin for sure, and then we'll kind of see where the game goes from there. And yeah, they might need to keep playing keep up if Rattler's throwing it around,
Slinging it around the yard.
slinging it around. Yeah, that's right. But yeah,
It-
I'll go into my next pick six guy here after the Otton pick, and I'm going with a guy that I wasn't really too high on preseason. I know he had a little bit of buzz towards the end of last year, but he was one of like the show me guys where it's like he's got to show or do a little more, and that's for 5,200. I'm going Dontavian Wicks with Green Bay. Um, it's kind of surprising to me. He's actually tied with Jaden Reed for targets on the team. I know a little bit of that is a little jaded because it's just most of them are within the last 2 weeks. But I think with the Watson injury, with RIP to Watson on the show. I know
I know.
we're big Watson fans, but I think with his injury and then Dobbs kind of doing his crybaby show over in Green Bay as well. I mean, he's $2,000 cheaper than Reed with the same amount of targets on Green Bay. They're playing a very loose Arizona secondary this week, and I think with the way Kyler Murray been playing this year, I think Green Bay has to keep the foot on the pedal. So even if Reed has a decent game, I think Wicks will too. And the cool thing about Wicks is, even if Dobbs does get snaps again, he's pretty much just an outside wide receiver where both Wicks and Reed both play outside and inside. Wicks has had over 70 snaps from the slot this year, so I do think that Wicks has a solid game plan his way against Arizona this week. So he's my second pick six player.
It feels a little bit like a shot in the dark going with Wicks. I mean, maybe I'm just a little jaded because I had his over receiving prop last week and I watched the ball go through his hands in the fourth quarter, like choosing not to catch the football. Love that, bro. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, Dobbs is back, like you said. Christian Watson actually returned to practice today on Wednesday, so I just not entirely sure the routes and the snaps will be there for him this week. So that's kind of my only hesitation on that. Ethan, any thoughts on that before I close this out here with my last player?
No, I like attacking that game with a Packers receiver. I have Jane Reed in my lineup. I'm a little jaded with Wicks too because I did get screwed by Wicks with his over 40 bet in my parlay. It was the only leg that didn't hit, so now I'm out on him for the rest of the year. No,
Yeah, you're
but
required to
Dead
hate
to,
him
dead
now.
to me.
yeah, but no, I do like attacking this game though, and Wicks, I mean, he has shown the ability to earn targets with Jordan Love. So, I mean, at that price point, he does. I mean, have a chance to pay off. I went with Reed. I just think Reed's the guy there. As much as it kind of pains me to say that because we were high on Watson. I just think Jaden Reed. He's I'm definitely he's definitely growing on me week to week. I think Jane Reed's a great player, and he's going to be Love's number one for this year, and which is why I have him in my lineup. I think he's going to have a big day against Arizona.
Yeah, tough pill to swallow for sure. Another tough pill to swallow is the 2024 season that the New England Patriots have given us so far
Yes.
in the early going. I know Drake May's getting in there in week 6, so we'll be as optimistic as we can be on that front, even though he's stepping into an absolute disaster of a situation on the offensive side of the ball. We'll see how that goes. But I'm actually going with the player that the Patriots are going to be going up against with my final pick 6 player here. That's Dalton Schultz. We'll be playing again in Foxborough this week. It's $4,100 to get him into your lineup, and he's kind of been the forgotten man among the Houston pass catchers, and rightfully so. I mean, Nico Collins has been doing his thing. Stephon Diggs comes to town. Tank Dell's now healthy. I think Diggs in general has really been the guy who's really been holding Schultz back. He's played 53% of his snaps in the slot so far this year, and kind of that shorter area of the field is really hurting the tight end position in the form of Schultz. But I think with Nico headed to IR, I think we're going to see Diggs move more to play on the perimeter. And I think that's going to kind of fall to Schultz to fill the void in the shorter areas of the field. So just keep in mind here too that the Pats are going to be shorthanded. Jabril Peppers is dealing. We'll just be kind and say he's dealing with an off the field issue at the moment. He's on the
Say the
commissioner's
least.
exempt
Yeah.
list. And Kyle Duggar didn't practice again on Wednesday, and he's been out with missing time with injuries as well. So they could be down both starting safeties in this game. And he's coming off his highest targets and receptions game of the season in week 5. Really got cooking after Nico left with his hamstring injury. So I don't need a ton here either to be happy with just $4,100. So I think Schultz could be a guy that maybe the defense kind of forgets about a little bit, especially with some new pieces in that secondary.
I like that call. I think you're right. I think Diggs is going to be pushed to the outside where he's going to be probably guarded by Christian Gonzalez, who's been very good thus far this season against opposing wide receiver ones. He did a great job against Tyreek Hill this past week, and I think he's going to do a very good job on Diggs, which is going to open the door for Schultz and Tank Dell. So I do think Schultz is going to get a decent amount of targets. I guess the only risk in this game is it gets out of hand if Drake May doesn't do so well. But for that price point and with the fact that the Patriots defense really hasn't been great this year, and with the pieces that you said are missing, I do think Schultz has a prime opportunity to do work against the New England secondary.
We'll hope it doesn't come to that, but unfortunately, sometimes you got to go against your hometown team. Your team got to be objective, as I like to say around here. But so let's be unobjective for a minute. Let's get super spicy with some hot takes. Let's go over the top here with some things that aren't necessarily likely to happen, but we're gonna take that shot and say that they will happen. Aaron, you love dropping your hot takes, my man. What do you got for us for week 6?
All right, I'll go on with another one where I don't think I'm gonna be like this episode, honestly. So I'm gonna stay on that take where I'm gonna kind of double down with the Ravens. I really do think this is gonna be a big time learning game for Jaden, and I think the Ravens get at least 3 sacks this week against Jaden and at least one defensive touchdown. So I think they're gonna be a hot defense against Jaden this week.
You better hope so. So I guess I'll go to my hot take. But yeah, no, first of all, like, yeah, I mean, you have the Baltimore Ravens in your lineup, so obviously I don't know
It's
if
happening.
I don't know if you saw a genie in a bottle or what. You saw a future, you have a premonition. I don't know what it is, but apparently the Baltimore Ravens are having a big day against Jane Daniels and the Commanders.
Oh
So
yeah.
we'll see if that comes to fruition. But I'm gonna stick with my bullish buy, Dave Montgomery. I think he totes the rock over 20 times, gets over 130 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys. So big day for David Montgomery.
Yeah, the only risk in that is if Gibbs is the guy out there who poaches some of those touchdowns. It's been pretty good at the goal line too, so definitely qualifies for a hot take on that front. I'm also going to stick with my bullish buy for my hot take, going Saquon Barkley over 100 total yards, at least 2 touchdowns in this one, and I'm going to juice up the spread a little bit. It's currently -9. I'm going to juice it up to -13.5. That the Eagles cover. They roll in this one big time. So again, Barkley over 100 total yards. That's receiving and or rushing. 2 touchdowns on the day, and Philly to cover 13.5.
I like
13 and
it.
a half. Yeah.
Spicy.
I like it.
It
You're
is
my
spicy.
lineup,
It's-
so.
We'll drop that in the Discord. We'll see how that comes out here. So make sure you're joining us on there at Sunday Surefire on Discord. Follow us on X at Sunday_Surefire, and also on Facebook, Sunday Surefire, Instagram, Sunday Surefire, all those good places. Again, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you're not missing any of our content going forward. And until next time, folks, peace.